Okay, well, I have a interesting email here. Okay, and let me read the first part of it. It illustrates what we're going to be talking about today rather clearly, I think. She says, "Dear Gary, I found your teachings many, many years ago and applied EFT with good results. All right. However, there is something, not sure what, that despite 16 years of therapy and 1 year of EFT with a trauma focused therapist, that will not shift. In fact, she suggested I go on antidepressants, but if EFT works, why would this be a suggestion?" Yeah. Well, there's a let's talk about that. Okay, and there's a way out of that, but I got to give you a little background here first. When I first brought EFT out to the public, 1995, I had no idea that it would spread around the world, be in the hands of millions of people, and so on. 23 languages and all of that. So when I put it out, I didn't put out any standards. I didn't put out any royalties. I didn't put out any legal fences. I didn't put out any requirements of any kind. So people, I just said, here, do what you want to do with it. I thought maybe 30 people or something would like it. Okay. But it spread all over, partly because it worked and partly because there were no restrictions on it. But so the good news is it spread. The not so good news, it did not spread accurately. And that's a mistake of mine. I I I couldn't foresee it, but if I had, I would have done this. So the result of that is you take an idea like EFT and you give it to millions of people with all of whom have different belief systems, and it will go in a belief system and come out a little differently in each of the millions of cases. All right. That's human nature. It's just what happens. Now, when I eventually understood this, I started teaching it in more exacting terms. All right. But uh, not everybody just followed along with it. In fact, very few actually did. They looked at it and said, "Oh, this is great," and they do it their own way and plug it in and so on. So one of the things that happens with therapists, there's a lot of it. I'm not criticizing anybody here. It's just there's a lot of enthusiasm goes on, and in the enthusiasm, there's a few things they fall off the table. But one of the things that goes on with all this enthusiasm is that people say, "Oh, well, here's the way to do it. Here's the way to do it. Here's the way to do it," and they start doing what we call detective work. That's my term. They may or may not use it, but that's what they do. They're trying to find, well, what's behind all of that? What's the real cause of it? Very important term here. We've got to find the cause. And most people that use EFT, they aim it at symptoms. And you start aiming it at symptoms rather than cause, you're going to leave a lot on the table. Okay, it's not going to work as well as it might if you look for cause. But now, so you look for detective work, and you start asking questions. Well, when did this first start, and how old were you then, and were there emotional issues there at that time? Those can give you clues. They give you clues. But eventually, I brought in the unseen therapist rather than what you may know as tapping on the physical, fingertip tapping on the meridians. That the meridian tapping is a mechanical way to bring peace to the system. The unseen therapist reaches within you and brings out the healing powers that you have within you that you probably recognize are there, but just don't know how to access them. Well, we have ways to do that. There are essential links below this video, by the way, that will point you in this direction, how to do that, and a free ebook and some advanced training and a newsletter and things like that. But let me get to the main point here. Some people try to do detective work, and they get pretty good at it. Okay, but they don't always, hit the bullseye. Often enough to be useful, sometimes not. And when something doesn't shift, chances are they haven't really found the cause. The cause could be emotional issues that our friend who wrote the email isn't even aware of. Or it could be something that she really doesn't want to look at. Maybe it's a guilt issue, or it's a fear issue she doesn't want to go for. And so it tends not to get looked at, addressed, and so on. Oh, we'll do that one later. Yeah, okay. So when that happens, which is with some frequency, we don't get to cause. And this is a good example. This particular email is a good example of that. We're not getting to cause. It doesn't shift. Remember, she said she had a lot of good results with it. Well, that was stuff that she was willing to look at, and okay. But this one didn't shift. Right? So with the unseen therapist, which I brought out in 2014, there are a number of things that bring more power to the process. I mean, we're speaking with, the spiritual love is the ultimate healing source beyond anything man can make, but we have to be able to access it. And we call that the unseen therapist for non-denominational purposes. You might want to call it God, Holy Spirit, Buddha, Allah, Jesus, lots of different names. It's the essence, the ultimate essence of this spiritual love behind most religions and spiritual practices. So we have in our advanced training, at least, and I'm going to give you a little heads up on this little clue here. We have a lesson, advanced lesson number 10, which basically tells you how to ask the unseen therapist what's going on. You don't have to sit there and play detective on your own. You can ask the unseen therapist. Now, it takes a little skill, a little practice, a little trial and error. But once you do that, doors open. I see it now, kind of. Oh, yes. Yeah, I got it. You're being told to go here or to go there. This is the cause. And, we give you tools to deal with that cause. Now, I'm not saying that cause is just immediately taken care of in moments, and sometimes, yes, okay, but it may take some more work, etc. But it's a new skill, and a big part of that is being able to ask unseen therapists. Now, her answer, it's a she, by the way. Her answer isn't the same in the same form for everyone. For some people, you just may get an intuition. You may get an image of something that happened long ago that you need to address. It may not even happen right at the moment. It may happen tomorrow. You may be reading a headline someplace in a book or magazine. It stands right out of you. Somebody says something to you. That's it. It has to wait until you're ready. But all of that is a skill. And when it happens, you've opened a big, wide door. And things that didn't shift before, now they can start shifting. And freedom starts coming as a result of that. And freedom is what we're after. EFT, after all, stands for emotional freedom techniques. Anyway, hope that's helpful. We'll see you next time.